In the organizational church system, the people are represented by several different groups. These include the pastors, the praise and worship band, and those weird guys that make videos for Vacation Bible School. These are their stories.
Hey, welcome to our office. My name is Detective Justin, private investigator. This here is
Detective J.
So, our specialty is Bible mysteries. Occasionally we have people from different parables in the Bible come to us to help solve a case. I mean, who are we kidding? We have them call us all the time. In fact, we've had some pretty wild cases in our day. One time, Adam called us from the Garden of Eden, and he was missing a rib. Turns out his wife had it all along. But looks like you caught us on a slow day. So we've just been organizing case files, cleaning up a little bit, munch on snacks. You want to help us organize this file over? Wonder who that could be. Put it on speaker.
Hi there, detectives. I was wondering if y'all could help me solve a mystery. Well, I'm a farmer, you see, and I planted a bunch of seeds all across my property, and recently now it's been harvest season, so I went out to get all my crops, and wouldn't you believe it, but only one section of my property had any crops, and I put seeds everywhere too. So I have a feeling somebody might be stealing my crops. If y'all can, I'd sure love the help.
We got you.
I know exactly who this is. It's the farmer from the parable Jesus told in Luke chapter 8. Parable is the story that helps explain a lesson. It just so happens those are some of my favorite mysteries to solve.
Let me tell you, the detective life is all about chasing down and collecting clues and examining the evidence. And, you know the best place to find clues? The Bible. Detective J, would you mind starting with Luke chapter 8, verse 4 through 7?
Gladly. The parable of the farmer scattering the seed. One day, Jesus told a story in the form of a parable to a large crowd that had gathered from many towns to hear him. A farmer went out to plant his seed. As he scattered it across his field, some seed fell into a footpath where it was stepped on, and the birds ate it. Other seed fell among rocks. It began to grow, but the plant soon withered and died for lack of moisture. Other seed fell along thorns that grew up with it and choked out the tender plants. Still, other seed fell on fertile soil. This seed grew and produced a crop that was 100 times as much as had been planted. When he said this, he called out, "Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand."
All right, there we have it. I think that's a good idea of what's happening to our farmer here. So let's go ahead and examine some evidence. I had him go ahead and email us over some pictures. So let's go ahead and review these here. So here we have Exhibit A. Exhibit A. Right here. This path. Tell you what, that's not a good place to plant anything. Nothing can grow there. There's no soil. Looks like its seeds just get stepped on or eaten up by birds.
And here we have Exhibit B. Alright. That's about a teensy bit of soil under all those rocks. But it sure doesn't seem like enough soil to help a plant grow. My best guess is that the rocky ground is not very deep, so the seed can't get enough water to grow more. It looks like the plant just withered and died on its own. Tragic, but no real crime here.
And Exhibit C. I mean, this looks like a good place to grow something, but if you look really closely, you'll see that there's a lot of thorns. Those are our number one suspects. They no doubt choked out anything that started to grow. By the time the farmer got here, everything that was good and beneficial had already died.
Which brings us to Exhibit B. Now, this is a good soil. This is the only place where the seeds could have thrived. That's why the crops are only growing in this part of the farmlands.
Well, I think that solves our mystery. Missing crops. Not really missing at all. I still have no clue what all this means. There's got to be more than this case that meets the eye. Maybe there's some robots in disguise, if you know what I mean. Detective J, what does it say in Luke chapter 8, verses 5 through 11? Here you go.
This is the meaning of the parable. The seed is God's word. The seed that fell on the footpath represent those who hear the message, only to have the devil come and take it away from their hearts and prevent them from believing and being saved. The seeds on the rocky soil represent those who hear the message and receive it with joy. But since they don't have deep roots, they believe for a while, then they fall away when they face temptation. The seeds that fell among the thorns represent those who hear the message, but are all too quickly, the message is crowded out by the cares and riches and pleasures of this life, and so they never grow into maturity. And the seeds that fell on the good soil represent honest, good-hearted people who hear God's word, cling to it, and patiently produce a huge harvest.
Wow. So Jesus wasn't really talking about seeds and soil at all. Well, that's news to me. Let's review the evidence once again.
If the seed represents God's words, or what's written in the Bible, then the different soils must be talking about our hearts.
Yeah. So if our hearts are like Exhibit A up here, that's likely it's someone who's hardened their heart to God's word. They hear God's words, but they don't let them sink in. It's almost like the words bounce off their hearts, just like seeds would bounce off that hard ground.
Someone with a heart like Exhibit B, the rocky ground, would really like what they're hearing from God's word at first, but they don't try to know more. So their understanding of God isn't strong enough to stand the test of time.
And Exhibit C over here. And now, people with this kind of heart, they hear God's words, but they give their attention to all other things. And so God's word isn't able to grow.
And then finally, Exhibit D, the good soil, was where all the crops grew. That's because it was a perfect environment for a seed to make deep roots and grow into a big plant. So, if your hearts are like the good soil, that must mean we are taking in God's word, letting them sink in, doing what we can do to practice what we hear, and therefore growing in our relationship with God. It's all about spending time with God.
Yeah, well, that's it. See, I love God, and I've been wondering how I can grow in my faith. It is by spending time with Him and getting closer to God. And I've tried, really building a really, really tall tower, but I read in the Bible about some other people that did that, and I kind of like understanding each other. I also tried drinking a lot of milk to see if I could get really strong in my faith, but that just led to a bad stomachache. And that only resulted in bad things. But I finally found the answer. You have it too. And you have it too. Free of charge.
So, how do we grow?
By spending time with God.
Case closed.